Hi, this is Mac again with the BENELLI M2 shotgun, widely regarded as one of the best shotguns available for 3-gun competition. Today, I'm going to make this BENELLI M2 shotgun ready by adding essential modifications for 3-gun. Now the first step in getting your shotgun ready for competition is to open and polish the loading port. Now I find from the factory that the BENELLI M2's loading port and lifter mechanism make it extremely difficult to load shells quickly. So the method that I've proposed here, and I've done now on 4 shotguns, is to first use hand files to open up the loading port and get the general shape, then to go back with a sanding wheel on a Dremel tool, then finish it off with 200 and 600 grit sandpaper by hand to make it very smooth and very shiny and to get all the ridges out of the metal, and then to go back at the end and polish it with a polishing wheel and flits. And I find that this gives you a very professional, very even, and very smooth finished product with no sharp edges or burrs. Now, one of the most important parts in getting the shells actually into the magazine tube quickly and easily is to modify this carrier latch. And you can do that a couple of different ways. One is by opening up these U-cuts that you see about 1/3 of the way down the carrier latch. And the other way is by polishing the face of the carrier latch and also bending the tab a very, very small amount away from the inside of the receiver. Then you reinstall it and reloading shells is a lot easier. Next, you'll need to address your lifter. Now, the stock forked lifter on the BENELLI M2 will absolutely destroy your thumb if you try to reload with it. So you'll either want to weld and modify your stock lifter, or you could go with this unit from Terran Tactical Innovations called the AccuGuide lifter, which is a prefabricated lifter, one-piece polished aluminum, which has the filled-in end of the lifter. There's no fork, and the actual end of the lifter is tilted down so that it feeds the shells quickly and easily into the magazine tube. And that, in my opinion, is a much more important feature of the lifter rather than it just being easier on your thumb. Especially if you're going to twin load or quad load, this is going to make feeding those shells directly into the tube quick and easy. Next, you'll see that I reinstall the bolt carrier, and I like to do that before I install the trigger mechanism and lifter back onto the gun. And that's just because it's easier. Also, you'll want to add an oversized bolt handle to make racking the shotgun quick and easy, so that when you pick it up off a table or you need to load the shotgun quickly, you have a big handle to get a hold of. And this one is for Nordic Components, and it's called the BFB, the Big Fat BENELLI handle. Next, I'll just reinstall the barrel and the handguard back onto the shotgun, and you do this as a single unit by putting the handguard on the barrel before you slide it into the upper receiver. Then after this is together, this is when I like to put the trigger group and the lifter back into the shotgun. And then after you install the one retaining pin, the shotgun is essentially back together. Next, you'll want a longer magazine tube, and in my opinion, I like to go for the longest tube possible. This +9 magazine extension tube from Nordic Components gives me a magazine capacity of 12 shells, and I believe that having the biggest capacity possible gives you much more freedom in how you stage plan. You may be able to choose a different method of reloading, or even be able to save reloads on stages just by having more capacity in your shotgun. So I went with the +9. This gives me 12 shells in this shotgun. You won't cut anything off of the stock Nordic spring. You'll just leave it full length, and then you'll install the end cap. Now this is the MXT, or modular extension tube, the new version from Nordic, which is different than the first version, so the end caps are not interchangeable. After this, you'll want to install your Nordic barrel clamp. On longer tubes like this, it's probably a good idea just to keep everything stable. On shorter tubes, it's not absolutely necessary to use a barrel clamp, but it is a nice piece. Now, as far as the bolt release button, on BENELLI's, it's tiny, it's very hard to hit, so you will want to address this with an aftermarket part. This cheap and easy tab is made by Redneck Tactical. It just slides under the handguard and does not require any permanent modification to the gun. If you do use one of the more oversized buttons, you will have to drill and tap the stock button. Here you see the finished opened loading port with the Terran Tactical lifter. And then the final piece is the Matchsaver caddy. This is invaluable when you run the gun dry and get a bolt lock. You can easily get a gun or get a shell back in the gun and get it running again, and that way you can start loading your shotgun from the bottom again. I also like to use Briley chokes in my shotguns. I've been using them for probably 10 to 15 years in competition and they work great. So this is a quick look at aftermarket modifications for the BENELLI M2 shotgun to get it ready for 3-gun competition. The BENELLI M2, in my opinion, is probably one of the best shotguns as far as its reliability with the inertia recoil system, and also its lightweight and shootability. As you can see, it runs great in competition. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like button, and as always, subscribe to my channel. Once again, this is Mac with the BENELLI M2 shotgun. Thanks for watching, be safe, and we'll see you next time.